I have a question, and I wrote it down, so I'm...
Get into that microphone.
Okay. How do I come into alignment with 20/20 clear vision while I'm wearing my glasses? Because I take them off, and, you know, it's just not super clear, but I'm appreciating my glasses for helping me see clearly now. I know I can change my vision into perfect vision again.
All right, well, everything that we just said answered that question before you even ask it. So 20/20 vision is over there in your vibrational escrow because you want it to be, yes?
Yes.
And because anytime you couldn't see, it was over there. So what kinds of things might you say to yourself or do that would cause you to get closer to that rather than further away from it?
Well, that's another question that I have, and that is, does what we do with our physical action, in terms of, say, what we put in our bodies, have to do with something, say, like our vision? Like, you know, in ancient cultures, people fasted and things like that.
Well, let us put it to you this way. Every time you think a thought, say a word, or do an action that makes you feel uncomfortable, you're upstream from your 20/20 vision. Mm-hmm. So every piece of information that you capture, if an expert tells you it's not likely, your eyes should get worse, not better, you're upstream. Yeah. If you take your glasses off and say, I can't see, 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 you're upstream, upstream, upstream. You have to look for evidence of what you want or get off the subject altogether.
Right.
And the thing that makes it a little tricky, something that has to do with something like your eyesight, which you are sort of aware of all the time, it's hard for you not to think about that because it's something that is present. So we would wear our glasses with appreciation. Mm-hmm. And in the appreciation of being able to see, you come into alignment with your desire to be able to see.
And then it'll change. But then wouldn't your vision change and you wouldn't be able to see through your glasses anymore? Maybe.
Yes, it happens all the time.
Yeah.
It happens all the time. But because your doctor doesn't believe that your eyes can improve, he keeps talking you out of that, usually. You see, it's an interesting thing. Jerry and Esther moved from Arizona to Texas a few years ago. And Esther, they kept sending her a renewal on her driver's license because she drove without ever getting caught doing all the bad things that she was doing. And so they thought she should have a perfect driving record. She just has very good timing, actually. She always speeds, but they never catch her because she's aware of where they are. She can feel them hiding over there in the bushes. So she didn't have a driver's test for a number of years, but when they moved to a new state, it was required. And so when she looked through the contraption, she couldn't read anything. Uh-oh. And it surprised her because she thought she was seeing all right. She just couldn't read what was going on in that little machine. So the man said to her, you'll have to go get a prescription for glasses, and then we will take your photograph with the glasses because it will be a requirement that you wear the glasses while you are driving. Which Esther did not want all of that extra trouble, and she did not want to be required to wear her glasses. So she said, Abraham, can you read this? So we tipped her head at a different angle, looked out of the top of her eye instead of the bottom of her eye, and read all of the lines. And Esther just said to him, I think your machine was just out of adjustment. And she got her driver's license. Don't you find it interesting that it's the same eyes, just a different perspective looking through them? In other words, when you are in alignment with who you are tuned in, tapped in, turned on. That's what focus really is, you see. And so we want you to realize that everything that you are living that you would call a diminishment of your physical apparatus is not about aging, it's not about moving through time, it's not about a natural decline that is necessary. Every bit of it is about misalignment of energy in some way. And we know it's not the easiest thing in the world because you got out of alignment piece by piece by piece and without even knowing you were doing it. And it's not the easiest thing to bring yourself back into alignment, but you can do it. That's what this is all about. So we would make it a non-issue. We would stop making a big thing of it. We would say, my eyes are probably improving and in time I will be aware of it, but I'm not going to test it every day. I'm not going to look for the manifestation of it. I'm just going to see it that way in my mind's eye. When you dream, do you see things?
Absolutely.
And do you wear your glasses in your dreams?
Never.
And so...
Good point, thank you.
Good.
I'll work on that, thank you.
Yes, indeed.
I have another question. I had an experience a number of years ago. I began doing these spins 3 times a day, 33 revolutions, because it was something to do to evolve more quickly. And I went to sleep one night, and I had an energy come through my body that came through the top of my head that was really ominous. It's the only way I can describe it. It was so powerful. I thought it was, evil. Not necessarily evil, but I thought it was, I just didn't know. It was very scary to me. So I just said the words, love, truth, beauty, trust, harmony, peace. And while the energy was coming into my head, I sat up out of bed and said, okay, I'll speak, at the top of my lungs. And so it was all simultaneous, happened very quickly, and it dissipated just like that. And I've had a couple of similar experiences since, but nothing quite like that. And I'm just wondering if you could talk to that a little bit, please.
Well, when you are asking for something, it always comes. And the spinning technique that you are offering is a bit like meditation or anything that distracts you from any thoughts that are resistant in nature. In other words, you can't be spinning like that and worrying about paying the rent. Or when you're spinning like that, you weren't worrying about whether you could see with 20/20 eyesight or not. When you're spinning like that, you are, for the most part, resistance-free. So the combination of having been asking for the energy and then spinning, which puts you in a state of allowing, you summoned strong energy. It was like opening an energy vortex. It's not unlike what happens even in a gathering like this. But as we've been describing to you in the hours that we've been together, there are always 2 things to consider. One is, how fast is the stream moving, and where am I in vibrational relationship to the stream? So the reason that it felt ominous to you, like more than you really wanted or were ready for, is because you were slightly out of balance. You were asking in a stronger way than you were allowing. Esther had a similar experience early on in her receiving of us, where she knows that that was the night that her vortex opened. And it was the same thing as asking for more than she was really up to speed with. You did a very wise thing. You intuitively knew that the words that you said, love, peace, well-being, while they were a little guarded because, as you say, this felt ominous to you, you were doing your level best in that moment to get yourself in a more exaggerated place of allowing. The word Esther found in the middle of that was, I'm willing. In other words, because she wasn't sure, she wanted it but didn't, wanted it but didn't, wanted it but didn't. Yeah. And when she realized that it was coming because she had asked for it and she played with the word willing in her mind, that's when she settled into it. So, no question about it, you summoned more energy than you allowed and then found a way to allow it. And we wish the same for all of you. We do. Yes.
Wonderful, thank you.
Yes, indeed.
A dear friend of mine is an astrologer, and he asked if I could ask you this question. And that is, what realm do you come from? And he's listed a few of them here.
None that he would know.
Should I?
Or be satisfied with.
He's had astral, archangel, angel, spirits of form.
Whatever he considers wisdom to be the best one.
He does have supreme being here.
We'll take that one.
I thought you might.
Well, it's fair for him to ask those questions, because what he is wanting to do is put us in the context of what he understands. And man has been doing that with that which is non-physical from the beginning of your physicalness. In other words, you cannot see other than through the eyes that you have, through the perspective that you have. So you have to find some way of making sense of it. That's what Esther is doing all day, every day, as she allows us to flow through. We're not whispering words that she's repeating. We're offering our knowing, which she is receiving vibrationally, and then she's looking for the physical word equivalent. And so there are many physical beings that want us to describe where we come from, because you are currently focused in a time-space reality. But that implies that we also, from our non-physical perspective, are focused in a time-space reality. And we are not. We are in a timeless, spaceless reality. And so we could conjure something, we could make something up for the purpose of making him feel better, but there is no point in it, because it causes the continuation of the distortion of trying to get energy to be from some place, you see. It is only human that tries to put the hierarchy on things. And the reason that they do that, especially astrologers, is because they are sensitive to the energy of different people that they are working with. And as we discussed with a friend earlier, the degree of allowing of the subject that they're working on gives them entirely different experiences. And so they misunderstand. They think that the energy is different. When the energy is not different, it's the reception that is different. Sort of like the first question that you were talking about, you see. We're not too excited about talking about astrology, but we do understand that it does give you a basis from which to ask and answer your questions. And there are many magnificent astrologers who do a very good job of reading the energy of who you were coming in and comparing it to how you're doing now. In other words, it's a sort of awareness of closing the vibrational gap. We can see how the science of that could be beneficial. But the thing that is a little tricky about that is that this connection with Source is not something like a college degree that once you achieve it, it is forevermore. It either is or it isn't in the moment. And so sometimes a person is in alignment with who they are, and a reading is one way, and sometimes a person is not in alignment with who they are, and something comes forth in another way. And we just don't want you to get too ready to take a snapshot of where you are in any point in time and give it a label, you see. So, tell your friend that Abraham explained who they are in this way. We are the vibrational essence that equals the culmination of all that has been lived, both physically and non-physically. We are an energy that is expanding consciously and constantly because of the willingness of physical experience and its contribution to the never-ending want or desire. We are the expanded version of who each of you are, and we are the pure essence of that expanded version. We hold not any of the concerns that you hold, but we have benefited from the concerns that you have lived. We are not stumped by your questions, but we ride on the stream of your answers. We are not bothered by your problems, because your problems have inspired the expansion or solution. We are as broad or as deep as the question that you ask, because law of attraction will not match you up with the part of us that is different than the part of you. We can only be as wise as your wisdom, as loving as your love, and as smart as your brilliance. We cannot be more than you allow us to be. So when you find something in us that you deem worthy or wonderful or beneficial, you must understand that it is a pure reflection of who you are, because you could not get it from us if you were not it also. We have enjoyed this interaction immensely.